Damn it, dude. So we are welding the surface of this axle to basically recondition to the original size because the bearing race ate into the axle housing or the axle shaft. It's not an open face bearing, so it doesn't need to be heat hardened steel. It just needs to have an interference fit of about 2/1000ths. So Aaron's welding it up, and then we will machine it down. It's going to go slow so we don't overheat the axle, and then machine it down to size. It looks like crap, but you don't want to have too much penetration. Okay. So what I'm doing now is I chucked it up by the journal, and I'm going to machine this seat here for the rim. When they put the other bearing on, they beat it with a freaking sledgehammer. They hit it pretty hard. So it basically mushroomed this whole face here. See all the hit marks? Mm-hmm. So I have to clean this up again because I have to chuck it up from this flange. I can't machine this until this is true. Okay. So I'm gonna clean this up real quick, flip it around, and then I can start machining this. So if I start here, I was like, why is this thing moving? The objective is just to take the high spots off. We don't want to make it any smaller. So it looks like I have a good... The only area that's really not touching is right here, which I'm okay with. I'll just basically avoid that area with the jaws. I'll hit it here, here, and there. Take this. I also had to pull the studs out. So basically all the jaws are touching an area that's machined. So there's a machine spot there, and then this area is machined. So it should be really true. So now this here is going to push up against the axle. This keeps it centered so it doesn't wiggle. And then I'll tighten this down.
So what does that do? You're measuring it?
Measuring it, yeah.
That's like the C.
Mm-hmm. That's what the... Let's see, so 1.417 1.4175 is what it is now. Understand that?
It's on. I got it recorded.
No, so do you know how to read one of these?
Sure.
Do you know how to read one of these? So this is 1 to 2, right?
Okay.
So it starts out at 1 inch,
Okay.
right? So anything beyond 0 is 1 plus something,
Okay.
right? So something plus something equals something else, right? Just kidding. So it starts out at 1 is 0, right? And anything beyond that is additional. So this is every one of these little integers is 1/10 of an inch, and 10 tenths of an inch is 1 inch,
Okay.
right? So 4 tenths is 400 thousandths, right? So 400 thousandths plus 1 revolution of this is 25 thousandths, right?
Okay.
So we don't have quite 1 revolution. We have 17 thousandths, right? But it's 17, and it's beyond that little tick mark, right?
Mhm.
So what's in alignment is the 5. So that indicates it's 4.175. You sure 5? Yeah. See?
He's got his glasses on.
4 doesn't.
It's 5.
Well, the 5 is right on the money.
Yeah, shit.
So that's how you read a analog mic.
Okay.
Right. This actually gets pressed onto the axle.
Okay. So
But what
you
happened
need it
is-
to be that size.
Yeah. So this part of the bearing, it actually ate into the axle shaft, because when they put it in there, well, it got loose at some point, and they replaced it, but they didn't repair. They just put a new bearing on it, and they didn't fix it. So it just had the same problem. So the seal blew out, right, and it was super loose. So they just didn't do a good job. They just ignored it, basically.
Do you think they ignored it, or do you think they don't
They ignored it
know?
because they couldn't fix it. Well, you put it on there, it was flop around like a dead seal, right? So,
Dead seals don't flop.
Yeah.
a dying seal. How about that?
Oh, that's sad. More like a fish.
Okay, a dying fish.
A flopping.
Yeah.
A flopping fish. Why has it got to be dying?
Well, because that's when it flops. Okay, so I'm just gonna ballpark this until we get closer. So this is what we call a digital mic, or digital calipers. So I'm gonna measure this.
You gonna marry it?
Yeah. So this is 1.377. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is before I creep up on it, I'm just gonna zero this out, because it's easier. All right. So let's plus. I just want to rough it in. So now I'll take this and I'll measure our to be machined area, and figure out how much more I have to go before we get close. So according to the calipers, we have about 38 thousandths to be line to line. But remember, we don't want it to be the exact same size. We want it to be 2 thousandths of an inch
'Cause you want it to-
larger. You want a press fit,
Okay.
right? So 2 thousandths, to put it in perspective, is a human hair is about 2 to 2.5 thousandths, right? So, or if you don't have no hair, 0 thousandths.
You have some hair right now.
So we have 40 thousandths roughly to take off. So we're going to take off. I'll take off another
So
20.
do you do that by eyesight, or do
No.
you tell the machine?
I'll tell the machine.
So how do you know the depth?
I say take off 20 thousandths, and it just does it.
How do you know the depth?
What's that? I'm just going to go based on what you kind of started out. So there's some areas here that aren't fully welded, like right here, and I'm going to butt up against that.
Okay.
So that's what I'll use. Watch your fingers. That's 10. 20.
is about.
Like it again. So it doesn't matter if there's little voids here because it's not an open face bearing, so we just need to make sure we have enough space to, enough interference to keep the bearing in place. So now it says we have 15 thousandths left before we hit line to line. So I'm gonna take off another 10. Okay, so another thing to be aware of is when you're machining, you have to make sure that the temperature is room temperature, or else it's going to change the measurements.